Okay, so now you've pulled up to the customer's property, you parked right in front of the customer's door, you're in uniform, you have all your estimator material. Let's talk about the actual estimate script. So first off, we always say on the approach, never walk on the customer's lawn. Some people are really weird about you walking on their lawn, so never do that. It can be seen as disrespectful. Always walk on the sidewalk, the driveway, the walkways, whatever they have. Just don't walk on the lawn unless you get their permission first. Another tip is always have your hands above your waist. The reason is if you go to a fine dining restaurant, you'll see if a busboy is just sitting in the corner waiting to do something, they never have their hands in their pockets or on their phone. They have their hands either in front of them or behind them, and it's above their waist. This conveys to the customer that you are ready to serve and help their needs whenever. Once you get to the door, we have some knocking etiquette. So for us, we always say ring the doorbell first. We used to knock on the door first, but the reason we switched to ring the doorbell first is a lot of people have doorbell cams now. So you want to just click it just so they get the notification on their phone. Then right after you ring the doorbell, you want to make sure you step back. You don't want to crowd the stoop. You don't want the customer to open the door and you're right there in their face. So we always step back to the edge of the stoop just to give them room when they open the door. Now, if the customer doesn't come to the door right away, we wait about a minute and then we knock on the door. We give it another minute. If they still don't come, we ring the doorbell one more time. Still waiting after a minute, we knock again. And after a whole minute, it's now been 4 minutes of me knocking and ringing their doorbell. That's when we will call the customer. We just do it on our personal phone. If they don't answer, we leave a message and we send them a text, both of which say our name, our company, the time of the estimate, and that we can stay for 5 more minutes. Usually goes, hey Sean, this is Brandon from Simply Lawn Care Services. I'm here for your 12 o'clock estimate. Not sure if something came up. If so, we can definitely reschedule. Otherwise, I can wait here for 5 more minutes. After that, I do have to get going to the next estimate. And that's it. You just text and voicemail that. Then we'll wait in the car for 5 minutes if they don't come out, but most of the time they do, obviously. Once the customer does come to the door, there's 3 things I always say to focus on. 1, always smile and radiate positivity. No one wants to do business with someone who's negative. 2nd, steer away from negative conversations. You should never, ever, ever bring up some negative topic on an estimate. Sometimes the customer might bring it up. Maybe someone just got sick in the family. Maybe someone passed away. If so, don't just steer the topic away right away. That's extremely rude. Obviously, offer your condolences. Say how sorry you are. They might need to vent a little, especially if you just lost someone. You might be the first person they even have a chance to talk to. You don't know this person's life. So be patient. Let them vent a little bit. And once they're ready, that's when you can steer the conversation back into the actual estimate, something more positive. You just don't want to have a doom and gloom dark cloud over your entire estimate the entire time. The 3rd thing, say their name. You should say the customer's name as much as possible. I personally try to say the customer's first name after every single sentence. Hi, Sean. How are you, Sean? Can you show me around the property, Sean? Okay, Sean. You gotta remember, the sweetest sound in the world is someone's own name. Something I like to think about is, when you met someone at a party for the first time like 6 months ago, maybe you just had like a 5-10 minute conversation and then you never see that person again for 6 months. But then 6 months later, you happen to run into that person maybe out in public at another party. Have you ever had that person, as soon as they saw you, go, oh, hey, Brandon? You probably had 2 emotions. 1, you probably felt really embarrassed because you don't remember their name. But 2, you felt really happy that they did remember your name. Because you're sitting, you're like, oh my God, I met this guy one time for 10 minutes 6 months ago, and he still knows my name. Like, you feel almost indebted to that person. And all they did was remember your name. But it's just one of the sweetest feelings in the world. So always say their name. Now, we always say the customer's first name. I do want to put a note here. If you are just starting out and you're going for the cute kid down the street or the college kid, I'd actually recommend saying Mr. Jones, Mrs. Smith. Say the last name. Because if I say it, it's going to make the customer feel old because they feel like I'm older than I really am, even though I'm just 24. But if you say it when you're just starting out, it just adds to the cute factor. Oh, the local kid, he's calling me by my last name. It's cute because he's just a kid, that sort of thing. So I would say the last name if you are just starting out. Now, we usually have shake their hand as number 4 on this list, but obviously with COVID, things got a little weird. The rule of thumb we use is shake their hand if they don't have a mask on. If they have a mask on, don't shake unless they go for the shake first. When the customer comes to the door, introduce yourself. Hi, John. I'm Brandon from Simply Lawn Care Services. How are you today? And just to reiterate, while you're doing this, make sure not to crowd the stoop. Personally, I'm 6 feet tall. So if I'm meeting with someone who's like 5'6", even if I've stepped all the way back on the stoop, as soon as they step out on the stoop, it's still going to be a little intimidating. So what I personally like to do is I always take a step down on the stoop. So now I'm one step below them and they're on the stoop. Usually them we're eye level. But even if not, even if it's like a guy taller than me, I usually still try to do it just so they have a little bit of space while we're talking. Now this is that key point. So you've just asked the customer how they are and they just answer your question. This is where those dog treats come into play. If the customer has a dog at the door or you can hear a dog barking, you should always say, oh, hey, can I give your dog a treat? And guess what? 99% of the time, the customer is going to be like, oh my God, yeah, of course. They're going to bring their dog out. You're going to go down on one knee. You're going to have the treat in one hand and be like, hey, buddy, here you go. You're going to let the dog eat out of your hand. As you're doing this, you're petting their dog too. And you'll be like, oh, like, Sean, what's your dog's name? Oh, Jack. Oh, that's so cute. How old is he? Because again, this is going to convey two things to the customer. One is that you're someone who loves dogs just like them. And two, you're doing something nice for their family member, someone they literally consider family. So at this point, they're going to love you because guess what? No other estimator showed up. The oil guy didn't show up and give their dog a treat. The tree guy didn't show up and give their dog a treat. Their current landscaper didn't show up and give their dog a treat. You did. Now they're going to remember you. And guess what? Even if they don't book with you, when they finally get sick of their current landscaper because it's the last straw, because he missed this edge for the last time, or they're getting so annoyed with the payment, they're going to give you a call back because they're going to think, who was that really nice company that gave my dog a treat? Oh, I have their brochure and their card. Let me go check. And now they're going to book with you. Now, whether you gave the dog a treat or not, next you're going to want to build rapport. Technically, you already did that with the dog treat, but whether or not you did it, you should still build more rapport. So for those who don't know, rapport is just that small talk in the beginning of the meeting before you really talk business. This is a great chance to build a connection with the customer. You got to remember, there's two kinds of people that people want to do business with. People that are like them and people that they like. So you want to build a connection to show that you're either like them or you're someone that they like. This could be anything. Maybe they have a motorcycle in the driveway that you think is really cool and you have a motorcycle. Or maybe they live in Peabody and you grew up in Peabody. Or maybe you see their kid plays a sport because they have a sign on their car in the front yard and you played that sport when you went to the local high school. Bring it up. They're going to like you more. Especially if you're one of the guys starting out or the local guy. That's how you show that one, you're a local guy, or two, you're the local kid down the street. If you're that guy who's just starting out and you're just door knocking, trying to get your first one or two customers, this is where you're going to be like, hey, Mr. Jones, I actually live right around the corner on Forest Street. Whatever it is, just build some sort of connection, no matter what level of business you're at. Once the rapport is over, you built the connection, you introduce yourself, they already like you. This is where you're finally going to business. So, hey, Mr. Jones, I have my notes here. You're looking for an aeration estimate. Can you show me around the property? Then you start walking around. Now, while you're walking around, we try not to ask too many questions there. We like to just let the customer do all the talking. Really just want to take notes and not too much. It's really just listening in this aspect. You can always take more notes later in the car. Then once the customer is done explaining, you want to ask any follow-up questions you have. Maybe you were confused on something. You want to double check it. Maybe they ask you for something you don't actually do and you need to clarify. This is a time where you're going to let the customer know exactly what to expect from you and your company. How I like to do that is at the very end, I have my brief notes of everything they said. So maybe they want the air rate, but they also mentioned trimming of the hedges, and they also mentioned mulching the beds. I'm now going to go, okay, Mr. Jones, so just to clarify and make sure I have everything here, I have the aeration of the whole lawn. You want the hedges in the front yard trimmed, and you want all the beds around the property mulched with black mulch. Is that correct? And if you got something wrong, they'll tell you. Otherwise, yes, it's correct. Great. If there's anything you would professionally recommend changing, adding, or removing, this is also a great time too. So, hey, Mr. Jones, I can be honest, I actually don't think you should trim those bushes right now. I think you should wait a couple more months. They're just not that grown out now. They're going to grow like crazy in the next month or two. Give your professional recommendation if you have a professional recommendation. If you're just starting out and you don't know anything about landscaping like I was when I started, just do what they ask. They can't get mad at you if you're the young neighborhood kid down the street just trimming their bushes and they ask you to trim the bushes and you did exactly that. They know you're not a professional and they can't expect that of you. Once you've done your professional recommendations, this is where we hand them that brochure. So here, Mr. Jones, this is our brochure. It lists all our services and what you can expect from our company. Once they take that, they're going to open it up, and this is a great chance to now go, okay, Mr. Jones, so I just want to let you know all our estimates are itemized. You can add or drop whatever service you like, and we even have an optional section in our estimate. We offer a couple other services. Would you like an optional estimate for any of these things? And then you can list out, we do our lawn care, where we do mowing, aerate, dethatch, overseed, fertilization. We do our landscaping. We can trim your bushes, pull the weeds. We do our cleanup, so we can do your spring and fall cleanup, get the leaves, clean up the brush, whatever it is. This is a great time to just list it and go, do you need mowing? Do you need a fertilization package? Do you need the trees trimmed? Just ask. They're never going to book if you don't ask. Our first year or two, we had customers who literally called another company for leaf cleanup because they thought we didn't do it. They had no idea, and that's our fault. The customer should know exactly what you do, so they know if they want that service done, they call you. So it's just one of the ways where you make sure they understand everything you do. After we've listed all the services and we know everything that they want to quote for, this is when we move on to the next steps. Okay, Sean, just so you know what to expect from our company now, there's 3 things that make us different from all those other companies you've used in the past, and then go through what makes you different. And we have our 3 things that are listed on there, which is personalized customer experience, billing, 100% satisfaction guarantee, but yours can be whatever you want. Whatever you think the selling points of your company are, this is where you need to mention them. And have them in your brochure. That way they're reading on the brochure and you're telling them. You're gonna make sure they understand it. And if they have questions, this is a great time where they can ask. Where if you just give them the brochure, they might feel a little too awkward to ask the question. It just opens up a dialogue. Once you've gone through all your selling points, you can then wrap up with, okay, Mr. Jones, so before I let you go, do you have any questions for me about the estimate, the company, the services? And then if they have any, answer them, obviously. Otherwise, well, hey, here's my business card. If anything comes up, feel free to give me a call or text at this number. I'm available at any time. So now the customer has your brochure and they have your business card. They have 2 ways to contact you. I'm pretty confident that one of these is going on the fridge. Then just shake their hand. Once you're sure they don't have any other questions, what we do is we take an estimate video for the team. All an estimate video is I walk around with my phone and I record a video around the property going over everything I talked to the customer about on the video. That way the team members, before they even arrive at the property, they see the property, they know what they need to do, they know all the notes, and they can watch it like on their way to work. Now in the estimate video, it's very important. You got to describe everything from A to Z. The whole point of the estimate video is you don't want to show back up to this property. The estimator should never show up to the property again after you did the initial estimate. So go over everything in that video. If you're weeding, literally point out every single plant that's being weeded and every single plant that you're going to leave. Jam pack that estimate video with information. Then a lot of the times what will happen is while you're taking the estimate video, you'll realize you have a question for the customer that you didn't even realize during the estimate. So it's a great time to then go back up to the front door, knock, hey Sean, so sorry to take more of your time. I just realized I have a question about the front bed over here. Once you've asked all your clarifying questions, again, part way with the customer, thank them for their time, and get back in your estimate car. When we get back in the estimate car, first thing we do is we send that estimate video to a WhatsApp group chat called Estimates that has the office person, the GM, and myself in it. That way the GM or the office person can send the estimate videos to the team before they arrive in the morning the next day. Then we type into the GPS the next property, and then we go. That's it. That's our estimate process. I know that was a lot of information, especially if you're just starting out or the local guy. You definitely don't need to do all that. So real quick, I'll sum up what I think you should do if you're that local guy or the guy who's just starting out. So if you're someone who's just starting out and you don't even have a single customer yet, I think there's only 3 things that you actually need to bring from the list I gave you. I'd probably bring a notebook just because a clipboard makes you kind of look like a door-to-door salesman, especially if you're just knocking on doors, and just wear some normal nice clothing so it looks like you're just, a local kid from down the street. I'd have a tape measure on you in case you got to measure the beds or anything. And then your dog treats. Because again, the dog treats are the cheapest and easiest way to make customers like you. If you're that local guy who has a customer base and you're going on estimates, I would have that clipboard with an estimate form. I would definitely have business cards just because they're super easy to make and it's like $100 for 500 of them. Definitely have a measuring stick, something easier than a tape measure. And I would definitely have a uniform. It doesn't have to be like a really nice polyester material or anything. You can just have a cotton t-shirt. That's what we had when we started out. Just have some sort of uniform that says your company name. I would even recommend having your name as well on the other breast, just because, again, you're the local guy. They're not doing business with you because of your business. They're doing business with you because they like you. So it's nice to put your name on there so they know. And if you can, have a painted truck. If you haven't painted your truck yet, at least get one of those like car magnets that say your company name. Just have something more than just like a beat down truck. Have some sort of name on there just so the customer can see, okay, so he has like a company vehicle. And then as you grow into that more professional level, you can then start adding slowly the things that I mentioned into your own estimate process to just build the value with the customer. And that's it. That's our estimate process. Nothing crazy about it. I'm going to upload on my Discord all of these documents. I'm literally going to just give you the free files, like the estimate form, the brochure, the business card, our literal estimate script with our A to Z instructions of how to run the estimate. It's all just going to be on my Discord. You can use it as a reference, copy it. I don't care. Do whatever you want. There's plenty of business to go around. I don't need to like hog my material. I just hope that some of you will be able to get some value and get some help out of these documents. So feel free to use them. Link will be in the description. And just so you know, guys, I just created that Discord and I just created that Facebook. So I'd really appreciate if you could join both. I'd really like to build a community around landscaping, lawn care, and eventually the home service business in general, where we can all just help each other, share information, and hopefully help the guys starting out avoid a lot of the mistakes that I made and we made as we grow in the industry. So thanks again and have a great day.